Hello everybody, so today I'm taking a look at this stunning Rover 827 Coupe. So in this video you're going to find out three things. Did Rover actually manage to make a decent quality executive car? Secondly, how does a Honda V6 fit with this executive image? And thirdly, all the reasons why you should consider buying one. My name's Chris and welcome to Retro Ratchet. Right, so today we're joined by Phil, this car's owner. You're going to tell us a wee bit more about this 800. So you are a bit of a Rover fan, aren't you?
I am. I've owned a ridiculous amount of Rovers. I think I'm at over 100 in my
over 100,
32 years of driving, so quite a lot.
You're catching up on me in terms of numbers of cars.
It's quite a lot, for sure.
What's the attraction?
So my first ever car was a Rover. I think at 16 years old I had my first Rover and I've had one ever since. So right. I like them. And I think, you know, the appeal to me when I was young was, I think all my friends drove XR2s and XR3s, and I had a 2.7 litre V6 one of these that just used to annihilate all their cars. So
and it would have been more reliable, wouldn't it?
Totally reliable. Really quite good car, quite fun thing to own at 17, 18 years old, so it was good.
I can imagine. I think I was a 1 litre Metro, so I would have been pretty jealous seeing somebody blasting past in one of these. So it's cool. What have you had recently, Rover-wise?
So this is my most sort of long-term Rover that I've owned for a while, but recently I had two BRM Rovers, right? So the V200 VI engines in them, so they were quite good fun. Couple of MGZTs, MGZRs, MGZS, which I've slowly sold off over the last year.
You see my TF video? Head
I've
gaskets.
watched that, yeah, right. Head gaskets. Everyone worries about the Rover head gaskets, and I keep saying,
and I proved them right. It does really happen if you go above 5,000 revs.
It does, but you know, I've had this for years. People have said, "Oh, don't buy Rovers, head gasket issues," and it's like a £500-600 fix.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
So you know, when you compare that to air conditioning pump on a Mercedes at £2,000, it's nothing. So yeah.
So this one here, I've actually shot this in a different direction. I've completed the review now. Low mileage, 68,000 miles. So what's the story with this one? Where did you find it about?
So this car was actually in Ireland, despite the fact it looks like it's on a private, an Irish plate. That's one of my private plates.
Right, okay.
When I bought it, it was UK registered plate, which was quite good. But I brought this car across from Ireland. A guy that had it since it was like, I think 2 years old. Right. Okay. So he'd had it since it was really pretty new. And again, same old story, older chap, stopped using it.
Yeah.
Car up for sale, and I grabbed it, and a friend of mine brought it across from Ireland for me, so I didn't even have to go and pick it up, which was good.
And how long you had it?
Good question. I think it's about 5 years, 6 years.
5 years, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's a while. I lose track 'cause I've had so many.
So it's a keeper.
It's a keeper. It's definitely a keeper. Right. Yeah. So they're hard to come by now. So if I part with this one,
you probably
very difficult to replace it. So I'll just keep it. Gets stashed away in the garage every winter and comes out for a few months in the summer.
So if you had your choice of any Rover, what would the next one be?
Oof, good question. Probably a 220 turbo, Tomcat turbo.
Good choice.
I've not had one of those yet. So I've had the 2 litre and I've had a 1.6, but I've not had the turbocharged one yet. So
that's the same mentality as me. You know, if you haven't owned one, well, you need to get buying.
I have my bucket list of cars still. Yeah.
Are they mostly Rovers?
I've kind of probably exhausted my Rover list, to be honest now, because there's not many that I haven't owned. Yeah, I've still got a Vitesse, a Rover SD1 Vitesse on the list.
I know somebody that owns one of these.
I wonder who.
It could be done here in a few months.
I've had 3 SD1s, but never the Vitesse. So I've got that to get, and I've potentially got a P6 3.5 litre S winging its way to me, hopefully starting next year.
Right, that'd be nice. Video on that.
Video on that, definitely.
Video on that one, definitely. Yeah. That'd be interesting. And if you get a Tomcat turbo,
I'll shout
that on the list, yeah.
And I suppose my ultimate, it's not that everybody would want one, but a Maestro turbo.
Maestro turbo, yeah.
That's on the list as well.
You just want my whole garage?
I do,
You just want my collection, right.
I'll be down buying them all next week.
Well, you're certainly welcome to come and have a look at that SD1.
That would be great.
Have a drive of it.
That would be fantastic.
We could do a bit of a reverse thing here where subscriber drives my car.
That could be fun.
That could work out. We'll do that.
Don't know if you trust me.
Put in the comments if you want to see a subscriber driving one of my car collection. Yeah. And we'll see how many thumbs up we get to that.
I'm not a gentle driver.
That's all right. I'm not that fussed in that car, so you can do what you want.
Bit of sideways.
But no, it's been a great experience driving this one, so thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your interest in coming along and having a go.
Great, no worries, and I will see you for the next one then.
Thank you.
Right.
Look forward to it.
Oh, in fact, let's see how it drives actually, because I'm doing this in the wrong order. Right, so I think we should start with styling. Every 90s executive coupe, I mean the styling has to be right or people just won't buy it. But look at this. Now, this one, British Racing Green, not exactly my favourite colour, but it does suit this down to a T, I think. So these alloys, they're very, very understated, very subtle. Again, for an executive car, you don't want big, massive wheels that are in your face. 2024 you do, but not back then. Lots of chrome, so again, chrome equals high quality. These doors, pillarless doors, so that's another great styling feature. I know a lot of Mercedes had these also back in the day. Again, you've got a big chrome strip running along the side there. But overall, yeah, it's a very, very sleek looking car. So the front view, this is what really makes this one. You've got this distinctive chrome Rover grille. I think they introduced these around about 1993, right across the model range, 200, 400, 600, obviously the 800s, just to try and make them look that little bit more upmarket. And I think it has definitely done the job. Even the bonnet, you know, you've got these lovely bonnet lines running along the centre here. The view from the back now, I don't know if it was as effective as the front and the side views. You know, you've got no spoiler. It's very, very anonymous. You know, there's no badges on this one, so you probably wouldn't know exactly what it was if you were behind it. Yeah, so very, very understated. Maybe a wee bit dull, sorry. Got a couple of little downswept twin exhausts there, so again, very, very understated. Yeah, so maybe a thumbs down from the view from the rear for me. Right, let's take a look at build quality. Well, I mean, any executive car needs to be high quality. So here's a good test. Well, here's my test anyway. What do we reckon? Quality sound when you unlock that? It's a bit Rover. And the doors. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty solid feel, to be fair. I mean, the doors on this one are absolutely massive, but yeah, how the door opens and closes, I think that's pretty decent. The central locking, probably a little bit lower quality. Let's have a wee look around the back. This is annoying, there's no button to release the boot on these, so it's a key. Now, when you close these, yeah, it's a little bit of a cheaper feel. You don't have that nice solid thud that you know you get in some of the German cars, so we're not getting many points for the quality of the opening and closing of some of the panels here. Now, this one is in amazing condition. Very low mileage, 68,000 miles. And look at that. It's very, very straight. The paintwork on this one is in excellent condition as well. And we've yet to find some rust. Those back arches look pretty solid. And moving around here. A few wee scuffs on the bumper, but I think these bumpers are difficult to renovate and restore. They're not that easy. I don't think that's a painted finish. It's a bare plastic finish on these. So yeah, they're very difficult to restore. Exhaust could probably do with a wee bit of a clean up. Tow bar, my pet hates. I do hate tow bars. Every car I get has a tow bar. That's the first thing that gets removed. Let's have a wee look round the passenger side. Same story. Really nice condition. And these standard Rover 16-inch alloy wheels, they're in nice condition. Don't have any rust there. Don't seem to have any obvious corrosion along the sill panel. It's definitely been well cared for, this one. And there's your view back around to the front again. The same story with the front. These bumpers are not quite perfect. I think somebody has tried to paint them in the past to improve them a little bit. But still remains a 30-year-old Rover in this condition. Moving on to the interior. So the interior has to be right on a luxury executive car. And I think this is definitely an area where Rover excelled in. Look at this. So there is wood, there is leather, and there is thick carpets. That's the three things that you really, really need to sort of like carry this one off. But yeah, this lovely grey leather. And I mean, even nearly 30 years on, it feels really, really soft to sit in. The seats are very supportive, and they're in amazing condition. And they're quite an unusual style as well. They're quite heavily bolstered high up. The headrests kind of sit into the seat, they're inset in, so that's quite unusual. Now, Moving on to the carpets, well, you've got these really thick, what look like original Rover mats, and then just standard carpet there underneath. We don't have any wood on the dash there, which is a shame, but again, these do have an airbag there, but we do have lots of lovely wood. Veneer trim on the dash around about the instrument panel and down the centre console here with the gear shift, and along the doors, and a wee bit there, which is a little bit worse for wear, where the door lock is. So I really like the interior. Really classy looking and really comfortable. Luxury cars need lots of toys inside, don't they? You definitely don't want manual windy windows or a tilt and slide sunroof that you have to open yourself if you're buying a car like this. Now, this thing's packed full of kit. Now, look at these seat controls. Proper retro. So you've got memory function there, 2 memories, forwards, back, height adjustable at the front and the back. And there, that's just your backrest control. And this here is lumbar. You can actually hear that whirring away. That's pretty neat. And you've got these little plastic extensions here for your seatbelt to make that easier to go on. And then moving around here, you've got your electric mirrors as you would expect, and front electric windows. You have a wee tweeter there on the door. Now let's take a wee seat inside. And this is the view in front of you. So you've got this big chunky steering wheel. This is when steering wheels were quite padded in the middle here when they just brought out airbags in the early 90s. You've got an airbag over there on the passenger side, but it is a lovely cabin. The instrument panel is a little bit basic. You've got your rev counter, your engine temperature and your petrol over there. There's no extra gauges on there, unlike some of the earlier ones, which is a little bit of a shame. Yeah, it's showing 68,000 miles there. What other equipment do you have? Well, we have some cruise control there, your set and resume buttons on the wheel. And then moving over here, you have your climate control. And then down into the centre here, we've got an original radio CD changer radio cassette. Now that's nice to see, an original feature in there. Your hazard switch, and you've got a little analogue clock there in the middle that is a little bit out of place in a car of this era. And obviously this particular one is automatic. You've got a sport button on there, and you've got a few controls down here for your heated seats. So we do have a boot release. I was looking down where the seat controls are for that, where they are on some Rover 200s. Fuel cap release, and that appears to be your sunroof. And a nice big leather armrest in the middle. Now this is your view into the rear. So it is basically a 2-seater. There is no lap belt in the middle, which is fine. The leather's in amazing condition in the back here. Wee bit of wood trim there. It's so well spec'd, this car. Okay, so before we take this 800 for a test drive, I'm going to give you guys a closer look at the engine bay. And I do have to say, there's a lot going on in this engine bay. There are pipes, there are cables everywhere. I mean, I have seen one of these before, and yeah, it's a bit confusing under here. So these, I think these are in the region of 170 brake horsepower. It's obviously a 2.7 V6 made by Honda. You have your PGM FI fuel injection, and they are 24 valve. Now, I gather you have to rev these to make these move, so we'll check that out in the test drive, how that works with an automatic gearbox. But the owner tells me he's done no repairs on this whatsoever since he's had it. It's been very, very reliable. And I can say so far it's super smooth and pretty quiet. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't fancy doing any work on it or a cam belt change. It looks like that would be super tricky getting access down there. But yeah, it's certainly a solid old car anyway, looking at it. So let's get that started up and see what it's like on idle. Starts on the button as you would expect. Really, really smooth. But they were totally reliable, these, weren't they? You know, you didn't expect these to break down if you bought a Honda engine Rover. Right, so let's find out if this Honda power unit suits this executive image. Now, there's a few things I'm looking for to answer that question. Gear selection, is it smooth? How does it pull away? Road noise, engine noise, is the car smooth to operate? And is the gearbox smooth when it's changing gears? And is it torquey? It has to be a torquey engine for an executive car. So let's find out. Okay, so let's start with this gearbox. What's the selection like? It has to be refined, it has to be smooth. So there we go, stick it in drive, you get just a wee clunk there as the transmission selects. When it pulls away, it's reasonably progressive, gets into second quite fast. In fact, we're in third there at just over 20 miles an hour. So in terms of road noise, I think it's reasonably well refined. I can hear quite a lot of exhaust noise now. I don't know if that is a standard feature of these or it's just a result of wear and tear and the fact this is a 30-year-old car. So you can definitely tell that this is a V6 engined car. So it's no bad thing, but it's not as quiet as I expected it would have been. So I think that's maybe just something with the age of this car. Now, how does it feel? Well, seats are super comfy, very squashy as you would get in 80s and 90s cars. They're very well sprung. The steering is super light. Very, very light, very over-assisted, so you don't think you're driving a big car. But to be fair, this car only weighs 1,400 kilos, so it's a lightweight by today's standards for an executive car. The pedals themselves, they're very, very light. So yeah, you do feel like you're maybe driving a Rover 200 and not an 800. So the quality of these buttons, this is the air conditioning unit here. Yeah, you get a little bleep when you select things. Very, very quirky, I would say. Very, very British. So buttons themselves, yeah, they're interesting. You get a little bleep off the air conditioning unit ones when you press them. There's no sloppiness certainly in their operation. Same with the electric window switches. They work pretty well. You get a little bleep there as you operate those. And let's have a look at these ones. Heated seat ones, yeah, so they don't seem to have any wear or tear in them either. So they've lasted the test of time. Those ones, got this big chunky steering wheel here to hold on to, leather bound, so yeah, very 90s, that's quite cool, I love that. So handling is pretty much like you would expect. It leans into corners, it's very softly sprung, it's certainly not set up for a sporting, enthusiastic drive, which is no bad thing. You want your luxury barge to be nice and refined and soft on these type of roads. Right, we've now found a 60, so let's have a look, see what performance is like. Alright, let's floor it. So that was kick down there. Quite a tall first. A little bit aggressive as it went into second there. It sounded lovely, you know, see when you got those revs up there, it did pull very, very strong up to the red line. The gearbox itself, I think, is a tiny little bit lazy, but it is a petrol with only 170 brake horsepower. Right, so let's get 40 mile an hour and floor it, kick down. Wee pause, and then you're up to 60 there just before the red line. So, you know, it goes all right. It's certainly not a fast car. You do have to work it a little bit. So it does feel a little bit lacking in torque. Obviously it's naturally aspirated in V6s, you do generally need to rev, but it's all right. That's how I would rate it. It's all right. It's not fantastic. It's not poor. It shuffles along quite nicely. I guess one of the key factors for a luxury car like this is you need torque. So again, let's try 40 there without flooring it. Has it got enough torque? It's kind of a bit slow there picking up, isn't it? That's half throttle. So interesting. Be nice to drive a 2-litre turbo one of these and see how that extra low down torque improves the performance. That would definitely be good to do. So I've got 4 points I've made along the way here which will help convince you that maybe you should buy a Rover 800 yourself. So this was the era when Rover really were producing higher quality cars. You know, they really upped their game there in the early 90s. So the values of these really, really low at the moment. I think anywhere up to 8 grand will get you a mint one, and a couple of grand will get you a rougher one that is more usable. Now, main thing here when you buy an older car is reliability. Third point is you've got Honda engineering under the bonnet there. So it shouldn't be breaking down, you know, you should be able to take it to as many shows as you want without fear of overheating or blowing head gaskets. And the last point, well, the question that we posed at the beginning, did they manage to produce a luxury car? Well, in many ways I think they did. The interior is beautiful. The colour combinations, the quality of the trim, it looks very, very modern, reasonably well screwed together, and the outside styling with that big distinctive Rover grille. So I think they tick the boxes there for that. I'm not 100% convinced though with the Honda V6 for the Luxo barge. I think it's maybe a little bit low down on torque for my liking. You have to work a wee bit harder to get it to move. And the gearbox itself, it is a little bit lazy to kick down, but again, that might just be the age of the car rather than how they were designed. So put in the comments, have you owned a Rover 800? Have you got any interesting stories about your ownership? I'd love to hear them, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you for the next one.